I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. I'm a boss chick.
Hello, and thank you for joining I Look Good Naked podcast with Terri J. Vaughn.
And Cas. Seegers Beatles.
I never know if she's going to say her full name or if
I
she's
never
going to
know.
stop with Cas. That pause was quite long. Well, thank you for joining us. We're excited again to have you tune in and listen to us. We're thankful for your listening pleasure. Cass?
Yes,
Do
Terri.
you have your quote of the day?
I
ready?
do have my quote of the day, and it
Correct.
is from Maya Angelou, who we all love. She's just was amazing. Her energy and spirit is still amazing. It's still hanging around our universe.
Did I tell you she was mean to me when I met her?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, how was she mean to you? I have to hear this story before I give my quote.
No, she was mean to me because
Because what? Because you're sensitive?
maybe I'm sensitive.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm quite sensitive.
I
She
don't
just
know.
she gave a beautiful talk, and of course I was moved. I cried. I was
like
just
this
excited.
one.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get to meet her after that. And I did. I went up and met her, and we got ready to take pictures, and it was like a group of us on stage taking pictures, and her son was there too, and she was very sensitive and protective of her son.
Right.
And so we got ready to take the picture, and I don't know, I guess I was touching her son too close.
Hilarious.
Or
That was
something.
it. You would put
And
your
she
arm
was,
around
and
him.
when I say she
pushed him out the picture.
oh my God, when I say that she checked me right there at the moment,
I love
and
it.
my face was so on the floor, and I just left it there because she's Maya Angelou.
Right. Don't pick your face up in front of
okay.
Maya. That is funny.
But I still love her, so. Go ahead with your Maya Angelou quote.
My
for the
quote for the day is
Don't
there.
let Terri around your kids.
Right. Right. I feel like we have to introduce our
But
guest
her
first before I
son is a
even
grown
do.
man. He's grown. He's older than me.
He's still a
But
kid.
anyway, I'm sorry.
That's the Maya Angelou quote of the day. Don't let
No.
Terri near your kids.
We'll get to Kim Fields in a moment. She got jokes. We'll get to her in a second.
Oh my
Go
God.
ahead, sir. Go
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yes, and as a writer, I felt like that was it's just such a great statement. And just as a communicator, and I think that is part of our weakness as a community, and sometimes as women, because we feel like we have to hold our truth inside. And so, of course, it speaks to today with our guest that we have, who has a fabulous book, and she's bearing her truth. And I don't know. I just feel like everybody needs to bear their truth, and we're definitely in that moment right now, politically, socially, just everywhere. So, yeah, that's my quote for the day.
That's
Very good. That's a great one.
Say it again, please.
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you.
And I think we take a pause break after that. Let people take that in. There you go.
There you go.
That felt good. Thanks, Cass. That felt so good.
Let's please. We have to introduce our guest before you give
Before
our
I do
woman of the day.
yes, because I just want
we're
her to be involved
interacting.
in everything.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Was I supposed to be quiet?
No,
No, you
weren't, 'cause
weren't.
the people
You
can
weren't.
see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that we haven't gotten our timing right how it rolls out. I think we do need to introduce you first because
Yes.
you
Because
probably
you're
had
here.
something to say about that comment. And I want you to be able to say it. I want people to know who you are when you say it. Got it?
Got it.
So, our fabulous, I could say
Guest.
so many things about her, but I'm not, because then I'd start crying because I'm
Oh
so
my God.
emotional. But I love her to death. And it's so funny because my life is amazing. I have met people and been able to become friends with people that I admired before I ever, see now I'm getting teary, that
Oh
I
my
admired
gosh.
before I ever knew them. And I never thought in 1,000 million trillion years that I would get to meet them and let alone become friends with them. Anyway, our guest today is the fabulous Miss Kim Fields.
Hey!
Yay! And Melissa's going to give us some cheers and some claps. Yay!
Hey, listeners.
Hi, viewers.
Yes. Okay. So now, did you have something to say about that Maya Angelou quote?
That was too deep. No, I almost feel bad to what did she say? To bear my
Story inside you.
Yes, yeah. But I have no quote, so I don't feel like I'm in agony bearing a quote about it because it's true though. It's absolute truth. Yes. Tell your stories. Tell your stories. You know what? I'm sorry. I do have something to say about that.
Of course you do.
I think that that sentiment from Dr. Angelou really rings true in terms of let that motivate you to find a way to get your story out. Mm-hmm. And there's so many outlets now for you to tell your story, from little 1-minute clips on your phone and posting them on social media to a podcast, to YouTube. You know, I think there's so many ways that you can get your story out. It's so different than when we started. You know, and thank God we're living in such a time as this that we can, you know, utilize all these tools at our fingertips to get the stories out. But I will say this, Dr. Angelou was all about quality.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't be raggedy in your storytelling. You better have your quality on point when you're telling your story.
I love it.
Funny.
Yes, okay.
That's funny. Yay. Okay, well, now it is time for my Black History Moment Woman of the Day. And today we will highlight Hattie McDaniels. Hattie was born June 10th, 1895 to October 26, 1952. She's a professional singer, actress, songwriter, and comedian. Became the first African American to win an Academy Award when she won an Oscar for her portrayal of Mammy in Gone with the Wind in 1939. Appeared in over 300 films and was the first African American woman to sing on the radio in the United States. Wow. Did not know that. Has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
She's 2.
Because she's fabulous, y'all.
I guess she has one for singing and one for acting.
And was the first Black Oscar winner to be placed on a U.S. postage stamp.
That I know.
Involved in several community service projects, including providing entertainment for World War II soldiers stationed at military bases and raising funds for the Red Cross.
Yep.
And that is our highlight woman of the day, Miss Hattie McDaniel.
Yay!
I did not know she was a singer-songwriter.
I didn't know she was a comedian.
Oh, yeah. No.
That I did not know.
Yeah, no.
I think I knew she sang, but did not know she was a comedian.
But I wonder if, you know, for back in the day, if that had the same kind of a definition, for lack of a better word, that it does today. You know, like I don't think she was in a club doing stand-up.
Right.
Know? I think maybe she just could do comedy. And that kind of lent itself to her being labeled, or as a part of her, you know, hats that she would wear, a comedian.
Because she was a comedic actress. Yes. Which is why I picked her today, because you are very comedic. And I actually think that, and because I'm obviously known as a comedic actress too, and people assume I'm a comedian, and I am so far from a comedian, because I would not get on stage, take a mic, and try to tell jokes to make people laugh. That is very terrifying to me. But I think that comedic actors make some of the best dramatic actors.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very difficult for dramatic acters to be comedic most times.
Right.
Why is that, Kim Fields?
I think, in my humble opinion, I think that a lot of comedians will and especially stand-up comics will tell you that so much of their comedy comes from their pain. And how they had to find a way to laugh at their painful situations and circumstances and experiences, and finding that comedic spin on it to keep from, you know, it being tragic. So I think that kind of lends itself to it. But in terms of just actors, to me, it's just committing to the craft, one way or the other, whichever you're going to go with, you know, being, you know, comedic or dramatic. Just really dig into the craft of it. Yay.
And that's one of the things that, of course, I'm so drawn to you and drawn to your mom, whom I love with all my heart, Mama Chip Fields, that many of you may know from several of her work. You know, Penny's mom is probably the stuff that our community has remembered about her most, when she was Penny's abusive mom on Good Times.
And then she was my mom.
Then she was your
on
mom
both Facts of Life and
Yes.
Love and Single.
Yes.
If you want to go way back for you soap opera or daytime drama fans,
Yes.
you know, she was on Days of Our Lives
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
But the two of you are so committed to the art and craft.
The excellence
Yes,
of
the
the art.
excellence
Yeah.
of acting. And just being able to kind of be a part of that, watching you guys, like being able to sit in the midst, watching Chip work her thing, watching you do your thing. Because I first was introduced to your mom through a play.
Okay.
And that's where we just bonded, and she's been my mom ever since. But just watching her work and in her excellence, directing and acting, and then being able to see you do the same thing just as an actress, but then as a director, directing me in episodes of Meet the Browns, and I just learned so much from you guys, and you guys have been a complete inspiration for my journey.
Thank you very much. It's one of those things, you don't set out to be a role model. Excuse me. You don't set out to be an example. You know, you just kind of do the work. Yeah. And for us, the craft is there's an art to this thing. You know, Terry's crying. But that, honestly, to me, has been one of the staples of our longevity. And if you look at people who have incredibly long, strong careers, you know, not just riding one note or one hit and riding that till the wheels fall off,
Right.
but, you know, being consistent and relevant and current. I think a lot of that has to do with your commitment to the craft of from my, you know, our industry for acting. But overall, I just feel like you have to make that decision. You know, you have to really decide. You have to really decide that that's what you're going to do, and that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of dedication. It takes a humbling of yourself, because that means you have to also get some wisdom from others. You have to pay your dues.
Yeah.
You know,
You
you have to
I
take.
think that's huge.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to take the lumps. You know,
Which is so different now, because people
it's
are
instant gratification
getting
world now.
great
Oh my gosh.
opportunities and being put in awesome positions without paying the dues.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that shows. You know, I mean, you may not think it shows up in those instant moments, but you know, you look up and you're like, okay, well, where's that person years from now?
Right.
You know, have they grown as
Right.
either a
Right.
person or in the craft, or
Right.
you know, things like that. And you know, how do they maximize the opportunity? And you know, that's no disrespect to those who didn't. I mean, that's just kind of, again, what resonates for me and with
Right.
me and with my family.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the greatest nuggets you actually learned from your mom? I'm
Well,
sure there were
Cas-
thousands. I'm sure there are millions of
Well,
nuggets.
Cas, in my book,
Yes.
but
Let's bring
my
that up. Talk
my
about your
my
book.
autobiography is out, and it's called Blessed Life.
Yes.
And I share a lot of my mom's nuggets of wisdom, because that's what I, you know, grew up on, and that's what still keeps me to this day. And there's so many. I mean, the book is so chock full of Chip wisdom
Yes.
that we thought about doing little fun things in the margin excuse me, of the book, where we have like these little boxes that say Chip wisdom.
that's cute.
And put them throughout, but it would have messed up the page count, the alignment, blah,
Well,
blah,
we
blah.
can't
That's
do
another
that.
whole
So,
book. That's
yeah.
another whole book. There you
Exactly,
go.
yes. But one of the things that she had shared with me early on, it was my first day of Facts of Life. And she took me aside near the cameras, and she said, "You start at 100%." And she put her hand up, kind of like this. Well, you have to look at the podcast to see what I'm doing. But she said, "You start at 100%, and everything that you do and say in this environment either keeps you here or chips away at it." You know? And that really, when people regard me as such a professional, that's when I wear that with pride.
Yes.
I wear my professionalism with pride, I have to say, because that's what was instilled in me, you know, as a child. Another thing, and this came up because as a minor, you know, you have to have an adult with you if you're working, whether it's in sports or academics, entertainment. And so my mom was also working. So my Aunt Pat was with me.
Auntie Pat,
Pat.
shout out.
And so Aunt Pat was on the set with me from, you know, day one when I started on a series, my first series, Baby, I'm Back.
Oh
And
my
so-
God.
I remember.
Baby, I'm back. I am a child that grew up in the 70s.
Yes.
It's like, you know, all of this. This is so
And
awesome.
so my mom said to me, "You make sure they don't overlook my sister." She said, when they come to, you know, you say as a little 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old girl, "I'd like a piece of gum." And here comes all these crew members with 14 different flavors of gum, because they have to keep the stars happy.
Right.
She said, "Don't you ever let them overlook my sister." A lot of times when people want to say, you know, "And this is Kim Fields," she said, "You better be right there saying, 'And this is my Aunt Pat,'"
Yes.
because they forget
Yes.
that child didn't drive themselves
Right.
to work.
Right.
That child didn't, you know, get their own food, and
That's
you know,
right.
things like that. And so for now, as a grown up, I make sure that wherever I am and whoever I'm with, if it's one of my friends, if it's my spouse, if it's my kids, if it's Aunt Pat, whomever it is, people can get, and it's not that they do it from a malicious place, but they get so excited if you're dealing with fans at seeing the famous person. They forget that famous person ain't just, you know, out in the world by themselves. But even for executives or crew, you know, things like that, you have a tendency to focus. I won't say overlook, but your focus ends up being, and it's natural. Who is helping to pay your bills?
Right.
Who's helping to keep the
Right.
roof over your head?
Right.
That person. And so it's natural to, you know, make sure that the village doesn't get seen.
That's right.
And it's on you to make sure, you know.
Wow.
So, you know, if
Place
you're
value on the village.
Right, exactly. So, you know, and especially women, we have to make sure that we are mindful of that. You know, if we are in the spotlight, whatever it may be in your career, and you're out and you know, you and your husband or your partner, or whatever,
that's very important.
don't you let somebody just look at you.
That's right.
And you forget, you know, for a moment that there's the other side of you.
That's right. That's right.
So
love
those were two nuggets of wisdom that my mom gave me that I still hold on to, to this
And I
day.
think that's very beautiful that just as the young child actress, she put that in you. And it's just a testament on how grounded both you and Alexis, your beautiful little sister, who's also a tremendous actress, how grounded you guys are. It's like you guys are really, you know, as they say, regular, you know, just in the world, just right. You don't have any airs. Also, I think it attributes to how professional and just easy going you are on set.
Right.
Even though you're the star, you're not acting in what someone would say a persona of a star should act like.
Yeah.
I love that's Mama Chip all day long. I love that.
It totally is her. But at some point, you know, when you get grown, you can decide what you're going to hold on to.
That's right.
From your upbringing, and what you decide, no, that's not really for me. I'm going to go this way. And I mean, I just don't like mean people.
Yes.
I think mean people suck.
Yeah.
That bumper sticker is accurate.
That is a t-shirt. Mean people suck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
And if you really think about the people who are really tremendous and at the top of their game in any industry or profession,
They are the nice ones.
They're
They're
the
loving.
nice. They're nice
They're the
people.
nice, yeah.
Yes.
You know, and people want to work with them. People
Yes.
want to. They have favor.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I mean, there's just something to be said for that. I mean, just being a bitch. Oh, sorry. Just get you.
we
cuss
nowhere.
yeah, we cuss on here
Oh,
usually all
gotcha.
the
Okay.
time. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just blech,
Yeah.
you know, and it's too hard.
Yes.
And for me, it's like
I agree.
if I'm in that kind of space, then I'm acting and I'm getting a check.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
If you making
You're
me,
acting
if I'm
like
gonna
that.
work hard,
Yes.
then that's because it's a character that
Right.
I'm putting
Right.
on. But
Right.
I just, you know, and even as a director, when you are, or a producer, you guys know as producers, when you are in the driver's seat of a project, and again, this is not just for people in the entertainment industry. If you were the lead on a project at work, if you are in management or you know, things like that, you don't have to wear your leadership in a mean way on your sleeve.
Okay, this is good because Cass and I have
An
a
issue.
difference of opinion.
We
And
have
I'm
a
going to
difference
say-
of opinion.
Cass thinks to be respected as a boss and female, you have to be a bitch. And I told her I didn't agree with that.
I told her they respect bitches more. I didn't say that you have to be one, but I did say that when you come in very nice and you come in very unassuming, that you have to work very hard at getting the respect. But if you come in at bitch level, then people automatically kind of, and I hate to use bow down for a word, but they automatically come in and they start to respect you more. Doesn't mean they like you more,
Right.
Right.
but they listen and they respect you more.
Right. Well, I think in this instance, we have to kind of define bitch in
Right,
this
that's
regard
true.
from the standpoint of you're not being mean, you know.
Well, there are some that are.
Well,
But yes,
yes,
that's another whole
but
story,
I just
yes.
mean, in my opinion,
I mean
I see what,
authoritative.
right, and I see what Kaz is saying from the standpoint of, you know, you hold your ground, you come in knowing that you know what you know.
Right.
And you're not coming hat in hand like you just happy to be here.
Right.
No,
Which
because
I
then
feel we do so much just as a community, because we're told so often so many people want to have this, like
Right.
we should almost come with this gratefulness.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, we have a gratefulness, but my gratefulness goes to God. My gratefulness
Exactly.
doesn't go because you gave me this position.
Exactly. Right.
To you.
Exactly. Right. So to that end, I understand that sense of you walk in your boldness. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think there's a
I'm
difference
definitely
between
with that.
being bold
Yes.
and being a bitch.
Right.
Yes. Now, if you
Right.
want to be a bold bitch, then that's another that's another podcast episode.
Yeah, that actually is another podcast episode because I'm not going to go into it because we definitely have a difference of opinion.
Yeah, we
and-
definitely do. We
Yes.
definitely do.
But you guys are partners, so
Yes.
that
And
works,
it works.
for you.
It
Yes,
does
it
work.
does.
You're two sides of the
does.
same coin
Yes.
with that. It's like good cop, bad cop.
That is exactly what
You
we
know?
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Right, exactly. But you know, if you're flying solo with
That's
it,
true.
You know, and I mean, people have seen when, you know, the ruthless assassin comes out of me,
Yes.
and it's like,
But it has to be brought out of you because
yes, I don't live in that
Yeah.
space, but I
Right.
do live in my boldness,
Yes.
and I do live in my authority.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
And you know, I mean, from little things, just because I'm 5 feet tall and my feet may not touch the ground when I'm sitting in the chair at the table read,
Yes.
doesn't mean
See, this is me. We're right there together. We just swinging.
doesn't diminish my stature.
That's right.
You know, but I also don't go in with that. And again, it's there's an art to this.
It is.
There is
There's
art.
an art to this
it.
because you don't. For me, I don't go in thinking I'm a female director. I'm the director. Period.
Right.
I'm not a
Right.
black director. I'm the director.
Right.
I'm
Right.
the producer.
Right.
I'm the star.
Yes.
Those sorts of things. And I don't wear it on my sleeve like a chip on my shoulder.
Right.
Right.
You know, there's a difference between the chip on the shoulder and a badge on your chest.
Hey.
Come
All
on,
right.
somebody.
All right. Let's get
Come
rid of
on,
the t-shirt.
somebody.
Right. We
Yes.
use that as a quote. So I love that. I love that. But and I will start speaking that differently, saying we're walking in our boldness and our authoritative, authoritative nature or authority, as opposed to bitch. Because I definitely agree with that. I definitely don't think you need to come in and demean people and go down on people, which unfortunately does happen in our business, and I think we do very good at that. But definitely the way we have to carry ourselves, it definitely automatically puts a judgment, unfortunately, on when we walk in the door. And I don't want to fight up. I want to start up and then go from there. Yeah. I'm very sure in a lot that I say and do, and I make that known.
And it just takes one time for somebody to make a mistake with you to realize, oh no, that's not the one.
Right.
That's no.
That's right.
You know, because I've been on a set where somebody tried to go above. Oh, no.
Right.
I'm not the one for that.
That's right.
It
That's
will
right.
rain thunder.
No, I've seen you in position. No, I mean, and you weren't mean, but you were very. This is what I want. No, this is what I'm asking you. No, I need you to do that again. This is what I'm asking of you.
Right.
I've seen you in action, and I appreciate it. And I guess maybe because again, I come from a different place with you. Like I know that you can teach me. So I am wide open to if you are adjusting me or giving me something to do or telling me, no, Terri, that was not you. What are you doing? I receive that because I know Kim is really working, so I can be my best.
Yeah. But you will have people either on your team or on the opposing team, but they're still a part of the project, whatever, where they're not open. I do what I do. This is what I do. You're here because of what you do. I'm here because of what I do. And, you have to have that plan B, C, D, and E to be able to navigate those waters.
Right.
And how to either work around people, work around policies, make adjustments, to get to what your goal is.
Right.
But it is a constant dance, but you definitely have to have that boldness of I'm here for a reason.
That's right.
And however, if you got there by grace and favor, if you got there because of any sort of policy with race and gender, whatever it may be, bottom line is you here now, boo-boo.
Yeah.
I'm here now, so
That's
you
right.
can judge and be upset about how I got here.
Right.
But I'm here.
that.
And let's get to work.
And let's
Get to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I love it. And that takes time too. I mean, it takes age, because when you're young, in your 20s, you don't know how to assert your authority. You don't, you're learning yourself. Which again leads me to ask about this question. In your book, or when you were writing your book, you said it took you a long time to kind of get your message out and get your story out. Why do you, because again, you've been in the business for so long, I'm sure that people have asked you probably when you were in your 20s, oh, you should do a book, oh, you should do this.
Yeah.
Why is it that you've decided now? What makes this time now so special?
The timing for me to release the autobiography now came really from a place of 40 years in the biz. I celebrated 40 years in the industry last year and really felt like this feels like a milestone. And not at all to stop and reflect, but just kind of be on pause for a second, look at all the blessings, look at God's highlight reel of my life, as I call it, but then keep it pushing. And so it felt like this was a good time. I had done enough things that were different from the standpoint of comedies, dramas, movies, theater, spoken word, hosting, competition, reality. It's like, okay, there's kind of this crock pot of a career, and being able to just kind of explore all of that professionally. And then personally, I honestly felt like, you know what? Everybody's, for the most part, been with me on this journey for a minute. Whether you just came on board when I did Dancing with the Stars, or whether you've been here since Miss Butterworth, or somewhere in between, we've been hanging for a minute. And there's some things I think we haven't talked about.
I love that.
And some things that are painful, some things that people just, for as private. I mean, I'm an insanely private person. And yet I'm a public figure, and so there are some things that I felt like people, for as much as they felt like I'm not a stranger, there were still some things that they didn't know.
Right.
So that kind of all lent itself to the timing feels right to do this now.
I do have a question, something that really did surprise me. When you did decide to do Housewives, what made you make that decision?
Sure. That was actually the year that I was celebrating my 40th anniversary in show business. And I had said to my team, the mandate for projects that we consider right now or go after is, what haven't I done? You know, what waters have I not either swam in or navigated? And so my family, we've been asked to do reality for years. I mean, decades, from Me, Mom, and Lex to Me, Chris, and the Kids, when there was just one kid. And then when we were pregnant, there was, it came up again. And so the opportunity seemed like it made sense. And then you go, wait a minute. But it's that reality. It's that genre.
Right.
And it really became go big or go home.
Right.
That is the biggest platform. That is,
That's true.
The biggest ocean. Don't put your toe in a pond.
Right.
If you're going to put your toe in the water.
Jump in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And jump in the biggest one. And we felt, too, from the standpoint of who we were as a couple, who we are spiritually speaking with our faith, who we are as parents, our light would be able to be on a platform or in a space. And hear me when I say, not that there's no light, it's just not our light.
Right.
And so being able to, put our light in that environment, it felt like the right thing. So it's kind of all of those things together that kind of happened.
And I love that
also,
you maintain true to yourself, though.
Well,
that's
thank
what
you.
I do love.
Yeah,
because
thank you.
we know that system and we know what that is. But you stayed who you are. Like, I would love when you would just, and this is what's crazy, I don't really watch the show, but I actually did watch some of the episodes that you were on because of that. I said, okay, let me see what my friend is about to do. And you would the walk away or the look or the face. It's like, I'm like, because again, you root for them. You're like, y'all aren't going to take her there. Y'all aren't going to take her there. So you stayed Kim Fields in that. And I know that was a challenge in itself.
Very much so. And in the book, even in my autobiography, that chapter that covers it is called #True to Myself. Because that was my mantra from day one to the very end. That was my hashtag, every single post, every single tweet, everything. But also from the standpoint of making sure that you can offer something, and that you still have a voice, even in the midst of several voices, that your voice is still a voice, and a voice to be heard, and at times a voice to be reckoned with. And that was something that we liked as well, just that sense of there are people who, for all the representation that is on either that particular show or in that genre, there's still our voice that's not there. And being able to provide that, being able to have people go, wow, I felt like, finally, like who I am was there.
Right.
And that felt great.
Right. Talk to me about Dancing with the Stars. Because I know how much you
my
enjoyed that.
favorite show.
I know.
You see, I'm just lighting up.
Right.
Yeah.
That was such a tremendous experience. And it came on the heels of me finishing up Real Housewives of Atlanta. And again, it was the mantra of what haven't I done?
Yes. I love that you put
certainly
that out there, and
yeah,
then it started coming
exactly. And it totally, exactly, Cas, put it out there, and it started coming. And so with that, and even with Housewives, they'd asked us 3 times. And the first 2 times we said no to Atlanta Housewives, and then the third time we're like, okay, Lord, maybe this is something you are really doing. So with Dancing with the Stars, it was one of those things where I'd never danced in my life.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm petrified to do that show too.
Oh my gosh.
I want to do that show. I don't even know if they're going to. I need to put that out there. Come see me Dancing with the Stars. I want to dance with the stars.
And it was so phenomenal because and I wrote an article about it, about the 5 things I learned about myself from doing Dancing with the Stars. And I realized that there was a whole nother level of work ethic that I did not know I had, because to me my work ethic is on 15 million.
Right.
And so to discover a whole next level to that and to level up was just really surprising to me, as well as there was a level of surrender.
Mm-hmm.
There was that surrendering physically of my will, because you think my body can't do this. My body,
Right.
you know, and you can if you just surrender, you know, and let go into it and trust
amazing.
who is around you. That these the professionals. He's a professional. And I kind of had that translate to me spiritually speaking. You know, there's that sense of, oh, I surrender all. Do we really?
But then we worry. I got to send the wrong, but how is this going to get done?
Exactly. And the amount of complete clearness that you have to have, because it's such a laser focus on the steps and what they're doing and what you're doing, that sort of thing. And it's partner dancing, so it isn't just you doing your thing. Right. So if you don't have that laser focus, you can hurt yourself or your partner. And so that meant I had to clear my mind, which again, a whole new level of that, from the kids, Chris, work, in anything else, my other projects. Did this call happen? Do I look like a fool? Do I look fat right now? Do I look uncomfortable? I mean, all these different things that you can't let any of those thoughts come into play, because it is just such a singular focus. And so it really taught me, you know, just how the mind works, and how my mind, because I'm very heady, how my mind works. And it was liberating. It was exhilarating. I learned something new. I learned a new skill set. At the highest level,
right?
You know, so now, guess what? I can, you know, audition for shows that I wouldn't have maybe necessarily been considered for, because I can kind of dance, like for real, you know. And just when you're learning something new, and especially, you know, if you're in your 40s, you're like, I ain't doing that.
Right.
Because you get fear. Oh my gosh, the fear. And then the idea of the time that it's going to take. I don't have time to learn something new. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it was just, it was incredible.
Oh my God.
It really was. And I've carried those wisdom nuggets into everything else that I've done. You know, aside from, I still love dancing and you know, want to continue doing it.
That is so amazing. Oh my God, I got chills with that story. So you also, I mean, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so you have your book.
Yes.
And you also have a coffee line.
I do. And so
Kimfield's signature blend coffee.
Yes, very exciting.
So how did that come about?
Chris and I have wanted to be in the coffee business for a very long time.
Really?
Wow, really?
So you guys are heavy coffee drinkers?
Oh, yes.
Or
big time coffee drinkers.
I'm with you.
Coffee connoisseurs.
Yes.
But just in general, you know, in recognizing individually our entrepreneurial spirit, and then when we, you know, kind of joined forces and realized that is a really strong industry, and it's not going anywhere, and it continues to grow. And so wanting to be a part of the industry, but for me it's really about the craft of coffee, you know, and from the growing to the roasting. I mean, just all the things that you do. It's really a process. And when I thought about it, I realized that's what attracted me to acting. When I was a little girl, and Terry might cry again because she loves this post of my mom on Broadway with
Pearl Bailey, yes.
And Hello, Dolly.
Beautiful post.
Yes.
And that for me was my introduction to acting and the industry, was walking backstage every time I would go to the show, to the theater and visit, and I would see her and see the costume department making the costumes, and the prop department, the hair and makeup departments, and the sets being and you're creating, and it's just this
creating
craft.
worlds.
Absolutely. And so I realize now, years later, that the process is attractive to me. Process. And so the process of going from, you know, in the ground, the seeds, to dealing with growers from around the world, and then bring, you know, your beans to your manufacturer, and seeing all the different bags from all the different countries. And then when you grow them, then there's a difference between, you know, this type of bean and that type of, I mean, it's fascinating, and I love it. And then it's an an experience, when you're drinking coffee, whether it's, you just need your little caffeine fix in the morning, or you're relaxing at night with your decaf, or, just whatever it may be, you're in an experience. And so all of that lent itself to, it felt really right to now develop our signature blends. And then you've got gourmet flavor coffees within the brand. We're launching later this year the Coffee Club. And
tell me about the Coffee Club. So you can get coffee once a month. It's like the coffee comes to your house. Yes. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes we might have a little trinket, because I really am a proponent for other entrepreneurs.
Yes.
If you follow me on social media, you see that I'll wear, like right now, I'm wearing some jewelry by an entrepreneur from New York. She and her daughter have a line of beautiful, fun jewelry. And they reached out to me on Instagram. I've worn sweatshirts.
Now you're about to get hit up.
I know, right?
Everybody that has something.
Exactly.
Kim,
But again,
come with
the quality. Come with the quality. But being able to expand the opportunities.
Yeah.
So yes, in the coffee of the month, we actually have talked to Tammy, who creates this jewelry, to say, okay, let's maybe do a trinket.
Yes.
That can be a part of it.
I love that.
Talking to some of our.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love
you
that.
have to. So with the coffee, I just love the response. We started the launch at the top of the year with the Blessed Life blend, which is a beautiful, beautiful blend. It's got a nutty kind of feel, but it's not nuts. So nut allergy folks.
Yeah.
Like Chris will just fall out and die if he has nuts.
Oh my God.
So I know, like EpiPen, but he drinks it, so it's safe. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful blend that we did for the Blessed Life blend. And then later in the month, we launched the Binge blend, because that's not me. That's not my phone.
And my phone don't even sound
that-
like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's the alarm. It's time to
It
go.
was the alarm, because it's the alarm on my car outside.
Oh, hilarious.
So I actually did have to put an alarm on my car, because I don't want a ticket, guys. Atlanta APD does not play.
They do not play.
They will boot you in a minute.
Right. But with the Binge blend, Living Single started streaming this year on Hulu, and that I thought they were going to break the internet. I mean, break social media, because people went in and crazy.
Oh my God. Okay, so everybody's in the reunion show things now.
Yes.
I'm
sure you guys have been talking about.
We've been talking about the reboot and reunion and those kinds of things. It really depends on the timing for everybody, because
everybody's. You guys have so many stars that are doing so many different things on that show.
But the Binge blend we created for everybody that was binge watching, whether it was Living Single or anything else.
I love that.
And I'm loving coming up with the names, kind of like OPI with their polish,
Yes.
and all those cool names.
Yes.
So not only am I loving coming up with the various blends, but also coming up with the names. So
where can we get the coffee?
Right now, it's exclusively available at kimfields.com.
Okay.
And we are walking in our holy boldness to make some moves for later this year for it to be available in more of a mass
at the grocery
environment.
store.
At the grocery store.
Yeah.
And some other ways, but for right now, it's available exclusively at kimfields.com.
Kimfields.com.
And I'm loving the
I'm getting ready to
reviews.
go get some coffee.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you.
I can't wait for the club.
Good. It's so good, truly. Because y'all know me, I ain't gonna put no junk out.
I know.
No,
that's
you're
again.
not.
We just talked about excellence.
Yep.
So I love it. The book, the coffee, the acting, the directing, the mommy, the wifey,
the balancing, all
the
of
balance.
That. Do you have any words of advice for balancing? I mean, you're a mother, full-blown mother, full-blown wife, full-blown everything.
Full-blown.
You full-blown girl. How you do it?
One thing is I had to learn maybe, 15, 20 years ago, what my concept of balance was.
Yeah.
Balance does not mean 50-50.
Right.
And I think somewhere along the line you have to get that understanding because you're taught, and especially if you're in a relationship or a partnership, work, whether it's at work or personally, but there's really no such thing as that kind of 50-50. Sometimes you're given 80, sometimes the other person's only doing 20. But that 20, I shouldn't say only, because that may be
that 20
everything
might
that they
be
got.
everything.
Right, exactly. So that was one thing. The main thing for me when I think about the work-life balance is like I'm walking on a tightrope. And when you think about somebody walking on one of those wire ropes, the first thing when they're keeping their balance is they're always holding on to something. And so for me, I hold on to my husband. I hold on to my children. I hold on to my faith. I hold on to the word. I hold on to lessons learned. I hold on to wisdom from other people. I hold on to inspiration. So I'm always holding on to something, because the minute I have nothing in my hands, that's when I feel like I'm falling.
Wow.
And then what am I focused on? You know, when you think about somebody that's walking across one of those wire ropes, they're holding on to something, and then they're always focused. They're not looking around. They're not looking to see who else is there. They're not looking down. They're looking, and they're focused. And so anytime I feel like I'm not focused, I have to just kind of wipe the slate clean, you know, whether it's take a few deep breaths in that moment, whether it's unplugging and going on a little getaway, whatever it may be. And, you know, the getaway might be to the bathroom. Right. But being able to have that sense of focus and realizing that you have to take your time. You never seen nobody run across one of them wire ropes.
That's right.
Ever, never.
That's right.
When you are balancing, you're taking your time. And the last thing for me was there's always the adjustments. You never see somebody just walk rigid, walk across a wire tightrope. No. You always see them adjusting and adjusting their weight in every step and half step. So you have to understand, family, that you always have to make adjustments.
Yeah.
A friend of mine once told me the team who wins is the team who makes adjustments in real time.
Right there in the moment.
Exactly. It's important, yes, to go back. If you're a sports fan, go back, look at film, watch the game, see what your mistakes were so that you can correct them. That's all very important. But in the moment, you better know how to adjust in real time. If you're a mom, oh my God, something happened. You have to adjust in real time. If you're a wife or a partner, you have to adjust in real time, because guess what, boo-boo? You don't know what their adjustments are. You don't know what they're going through in that moment. And being able to constantly, what worked, the balance and the adjusting from that step before may not be the balance in the step that's coming up.
I got you.
And so constantly adjusting, and that was really a revelation to me, quite honestly, when that kind of unlocked for me, because I realized it is a constant adjusting and adjusting and adjusting in order to take one step. And sometimes you have to just be even in your stillness. Think about the times you've ever seen one of those wire rope or tightrope walkers. Sometimes they're still. And it looks like they're being completely frozen. They're still adjusting. Even though they're not moving. Yes, Lord.
When I say we just had a sermon.
I hear you.
Oh my God. Had a sermon here.
So that was for me right there. If somebody else got something great, but that was
that was even when we're not moving, we're still adjusting. So we still are moving towards that.
That's right.
That goal.
It's not stagnant.
It's not stagnant.
Even when
you're still, you're not stagnant.
Yes.
Y'all better listen to I Look Good Naked podcast, because we are talking about some stuff.
That's right.
Yes, I love it. That's enough. That we can go out on that. There's nothing else to say.
Well, I want to thank you. We just wrapped on a movie, Merry Wishmas, and we were very blessed to have you. I just feel like it was a full circle moment for me.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I was very nervous on your days of working. Just the first day. After the first day, I was good. So I was like, I was working because I was directing the movie. And I was like, okay, we got Kim. Kim said yes. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to direct Kim Fields? She's directed me. She's taught me. I've admired her. How am I going to direct her? When I say that you were the most just loving and appreciative and asking me questions as your director, but asking me questions that still in the moment was teaching me.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God. And I had the answers, but you were teaching me that I knew what I was doing.
Yes.
Because I had every time you asked me, well, what do you think this, or what do you think the motivation? And I had an answer every time. And I was like, oh my God, I really did do my
You
homework
did,
today.
because every
And
time I
was
talk
ready
to you,
and I was prepped.
Yes.
I even asked her, I
So-
said, Terri, how many times are you going to read the script? How many times are you going to read the script? And she's like, I have to have an answer for everything. She's like,
right,
this is
so-
what it is when you're directing.
That's
If
right.
anything comes at me,
That's
I got to have an answer.
Yes.
And I was like, that's why I don't even move on and go right.
So to come from a little girl watching you on TV and be like, oh my God,
As a
I
little
love
girl.
Tootie.
As a
I
little-
love
as a little
Tootie.
girl, 'cause I was a little girl
you
too.
were. That's what I'm saying. You were Tootie. Tootie was a little girl. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be Tootie. Posters of you on my wall.
Wow.
Not knowing her, moving to LA, meeting her mom by way, then meeting her. Still just kind of still knowing her in passing.
Yeah.
Then later became neighbors.
Oh, wow. In
Yes,
LA.
she
Oh,
lived.
wow.
We lived like 2 houses down
Yeah.
from each other. The very first house I ever
That's
bought,
funny.
and then we were neighbors. And I would go down to her house. Hey, girl, you got some sugar? You know,
That
just
is hilarious.
You know, and having moments, and
Yes.
that's when the friendship started to
Yes.
build. And then years later, living here in Atlanta,
She did our
getting to
first
work with
project.
you.
Yeah.
She was in our very first movie we ever did,
Yeah.
Across to Bear, that
Yeah.
Cass and I produced. And she, again, blessed us and was in it. Then being directed by her on Meet the Browns.
Yes.
Learning from her in that atmosphere. And then getting to actually direct her last month.
Full circle.
at her.
Good
Full
for you.
circle.
Look at you.
I'm so blessed. That's just a story of to inspire you guys
That's a
to
story.
stay the course.
Well, yes, but that's a story of learning the craft. That's a story of longevity. All this ain't happened in a year, family. Okay.
No, no.
That's a story of learning the art. That's a story of people that learned more than one thing within their realm. Okay. Terri's a wonderful actress, hands down. Terri's a fantastic actress. Terri learned how to direct. Terri learned how to produce. Terri learned how to write. Terri learned how to do other things within her industry so that if the phone wasn't ringing for any reason as an actor, she was still able to work.
Yes.
So that's how I learned, and you know that's what we do, you know. And then she paid it forward. She's hired me 2 times now. She's done more movies. I don't know why it's only 2 times, but that's not the point.
And we're still trying to get that movie done for you to direct.
Right, that's what we're working
on.
on. We're trying to, yes, we are. We're not trying.
But
That's what
the
it is. We
point
are
is,
going
yeah.
to.
But the point is, yeah, you want to master your lane, but recognize when you can learn about other lanes.
Yeah.
Okay. Recognize when you feel you can go out and change lanes.
Yeah.
And do your thing in that. But you better be ready. Better be ready. Like she said, every time I had a question for her, she had an answer.
Yep.
Don't jump out your lane and get run over because you don't know how to drive.
you don't know how to drive in the
You don't know
first
how to
lane.
drive in that lane.
Oh my
Get the hell up out of here.
Right.
You better know what you're doing before you just jump out in another
Oh my
lane.
God! I was like, if I don't know if Kim is gonna she's gonna be able to see through me. She's gonna call me out. She's gonna be able to see through me. I was like, I gotta be ready. And then she's gonna tell Mama Chip, and it's just and then I'm
never
gonna get in
gonna work
trouble.
I'm going to get a spanking. What?
So on that note, we can go out
Yes.
because I'm tired of crying. I don't know
Yes.
why she makes me
You
so
big
emotional.
wuss.
So thank you guys for
You're
tuning
wuss.
in. I Legit Naked Podcast. And we
Bye.
are out. Oh my God, why am I crying so much? Kim, I don't like you very much.
I'm a boss chick, yeah. I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots. I be getting money. I'm a boss chick, yeah. I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots. I be getting money.